Good. Stay in position radio, man. What's going on with y'all today? I'm still getting it together. I had to do a little job earlier this morning, so I'm just now getting it together. Yeah, we got these the tariffs. They start today in 69 countries. If y'all ain't know about that, and then I got a little email about people already knew this, but just say the CIA been training cats and etc. to be spies and different little stuff. So some of this stuff that we seeing every day, it ain't even real. Some of it's spies. I already heard about flies and all that, but now I'm hearing about cats. Entertainment purposes only. Anything that you hear on this station today. So I'm thinking that the CIA is extraterrestrials. If they could do that, anybody that know what's going on with cloning and all that, that's extraterrestrials. That's the niggas that got through out of heaven. The niggas that got the shit beat out of them. It was Satan and 200 of them. Probably was more, but they got the shit beat out of them and threw down here, and they've been causing havoc, showing motherfuckers secrets and shit like that. All that little shit like that. That's extraterrestrials. So I think that's what's going on with them niggas, them CIA. I think y'all extraterrestrials. Then they say the NFL banning teams that supply and smelling salts or whatever. So they say they banning that. So to Kittle question, I heard him ask a question on the news what can they compromise it with? I think y'all can come up with like some strong coffee that y'all can smell, some coffee beans, or like a strong tea bag. No Diddy, like a strong like some strong tea. You know what I'm saying? That like some stuff that's potent. That you can smell. That could that's good for your body too. Coffee good. So I don't know. Maybe y'all can look into that. Coffee beans. But they say they banning smelling salts or whatever. So that's what's going on with the sports. And I'm still hearing about fires and plane crashes. Um, what else? Flooding and weather advisories for the what you call that, air quality alert and all that. That's what's going on. Fires. Greg Abbott and Benjamin Netanyahu, y'all still some pussies. Entertainment purposes only. Benjamin Netanyahu, you've been a pussy for like 3 decades, man. You've been doing the same bullshit. I think you're extraterrestrial. I think you know what's going on. And if you're not, I think you know what's going on with them. I think you be in them secret meetings with them. I know for sure. Entertainment purposes only. And Greg Abbott, you a bitch. A big bitch too. You Benjamin Netanyahu, you a big bitch too. Entertainment purposes only, man. I'm just sitting back, finna get me a game together on Madden. And I got my boy right here, Nexar Reacts. Play a little bit of his content real quick.
The fact that people have been silenced for this type of innovation in the past. Personally, I still don't think he is completely safe, but that's just my tinfoil hat thinking, I guess. How can you tell if someone is trying to manipulate you? I'm going to break your question into
y'all. Let me know in the comment section what's going on. I've been seeing a lot of
how do you know if someone's trying to manipulate you?
I've been seeing a lot of people been showing a little Madden 26 clips, man. That's favoritism shit. If motherfuckers can't play it all at the same day, they shouldn't be letting nobody play that shit, man. I don't give a fuck who you is, man. Like, if you in the pros or if you a celebrity, that's bullshit, man. You ain't shit to argue. Like, we put our pants and shit on the same way. So all that early access to shit, like motherfuckers should really be banned. I mean, protesting this shit. I wouldn't even buy it, but I'm gonna buy it. I'm probably gonna buy it. Like wait till it's like 20 or 30 bucks. I ain't finna buy it when it's 60. They some hoes for that. So Madden, anybody that got something to do with that shit being released early, y'all some bitches. Entertainment purposes only. That it shouldn't have been just no certain parties playing it and having early access. That's bullshit. And y'all on the hot seat. Y'all should answer why y'all did that. certain people playing it early. That's bullshit. I don't give a fuck if y'all been doing this since the start of that shit. Everybody should be playing it early. It shouldn't just be no certain crowds playing it. That favoritism shit. Motherfuckers do that shit in sports, pro sports with that favoritism shit too. They be sitting starters down and they be cold than a motherfucker. Still cold. Just they be doing that favoritism shit. It should be more than one sports league for niggas that get treated with favoritism. They should just go to the other sports league. It should be more than just the Ice Cube, the Big Three. It should be more pro football and all that type of shit, man. Because that's bullshit. They shouldn't even be doing that type of stuff. But let's get back to this.
That's question number 2. I avoid business where I see coercive behavior.
Entertainment purposes
When
only.
someone is trying to coerce you, oftentimes what that means is that they are immature in some other element of social interaction. So that means that if they're going to coerce you once, they will coerce you again. And it's very likely that their other business relationships are also coercive, and their leadership style is also coercive. How do you know if someone's manipulating you? The short answer is when someone is trying to manipulate you, the biggest indicator is usually how you feel. You have very strong feelings when someone is trying to manipulate, because manipulation is emotionally based in nature. They have to pull on emotions, whether those are coercive emotions or positive emotions. Oh, you're so beautiful, your hair is so nice, you're so smart. Those are all things that make you feel good, but they're very indicative of you're getting ready to be manipulated, mutated, moved in a certain direction, because they're priming you for emotional compliance, right? Whereas when somebody comes to you and they don't use emotional words, right? They use logic-based words. It's wise. It's in your best interest. You should consider. Those things are much less powerful to you because they're not emotional, right? So as soon as you start to feel anything in a conversation, that should be your first trigger to say, am I being manipulated? It doesn't mean you are, because manipulation is based on intent, right? They may not be intending to manipulate you, but your indicator is still the same.
9/11 as an event triggered 7 wars in 5 years, Iraq, 4.7 million people dead, $1 trillion of money spent. Regardless of how it happened, it can be manufactured by creating so much hate in the hearts of someone so that they commit such horrible act. Or it can be manufactured, as now speculated, in-house, an agency that is interested in a Pearl Harbor sort of event. It seems that Pearl Harbor could cultivate people to support the war. The objective of the current war zone. Current wars around the world is war itself. War itself is, a perpetual war is perpetual money being burnt.
Who benefits?
The lenders and the industry.
But they can't make the decision to go to war.
There are lots of doubts around. Why do we really go to war? The story is always democracy and freedom, and we're here to make the world better. Boil the truth to its simplest form. Remember 1984 and the Orwellian approach of freedom is slavery and war is peace, to convince people that going to war in another country to kill 4.7 million people is freedom. We're going there to free the Iraqi people. To tell someone that if you're going to kill 300,000 women and children is for liberty, for human values. Seriously, how do we ever get to believe that? Humans, because we're gullible, we cheer up and we say, yeah, we're on the right side. They are big bad guys. War is decided first, then the story is manufactured. The next 12 to 15 years, we are going to hit a short-term dystopia. There's no escaping that.
What is the definition of the word dystopia?
In my mind, these are adverse circumstances that unfortunately might escalate beyond our control. The way we define freedom, accountability, human connection and equality, economic reality, innovation and business, are going to be completely changed. It's determined by AI, by the way. It's determined by the morality of humanity in the age of the rise of AI. As bad actors use AI, in the short term, we're going to have to go over that hump. Eventually, now I'm more and more convinced of the long-term utopia. But that's the first change. We will have to prepare for a world that is very unfamiliar.
Do you forecast the length of that dystopia?
I counted exactly as 12 to 15 years. The beginning of the slope will happen in 2027. We'll see escalating signs next year, and then a clear slip in 27.
Why?
You really have to think deeply about not the symptoms, but the reasons why we are living the world that we live in here in today is money.
I already feel like we're living in a dystopian world, or at least some version of it. Personally, the world feels unfamiliar, almost alien actually. It's like being an animal ripped from its natural habitat and thrown into a cage. Anyone else feel like that? I just feel completely disconnected from everything. Even my relationships with people seem hollow now. It's hard to find like-minded souls who aren't completely consumed by this artificial reality. Can actually see beyond what's fed to them through their screens and other mediums. I can't even explain how many brain cells I've lost when I've been forced to engage in empty surface-level chit-chat with people who don't know any better. They talk about TV shows, the latest headlines, celebrity gossip, and we just sit there nodding politely, knowing full well that one, TV is absolute garbage designed to brainwash and push agendas, and two, the news has always been a propaganda machine that never gives us the truth. So I know it sounds harsh, like scolding a child who's made a mess about understanding what they've done, but that's genuinely how it feels. And honestly, the more you awaken to what's really going on in the world, the more that sense of disconnect deepens. It's not just me, is it? I know that, and that's what makes it a little less isolating. Especially with our Discord community, where we actually talk about the real world, the real issues, without fear of judgment. But for those who don't have that kind of outlet, who are forced to stay plugged into the rat race and play along in this artificial system, I can't imagine how heavy that existence must feel when you know the truth but can't speak it. If you do feel like that, there is a solution, and that's the Discord server. You're all missing out if you haven't joined.
Einstein and his wife. Yep, no, it wasn't Photoshop. Here's another one. Look at his beautiful wife and Albert Einstein. Albert Einstein. No, it's not Photoshop. Anyways, another totally unrelated topic. President Macron dropped the 22-count defamation lawsuit against Candace Owens. Why did y'all drop the lawsuit? Why? Then we got something else totally unrelated. Megan Fox with her kids. They're just hanging out and doing whatever they go and do. That's just great. Oh man, what's going on with Michael Jordan, dude? What's up with his eyes? Is he okay? I mean, no disrespect, Michael J. But what's going on? Matrix brother is up top, or now the Matrix sisters, the guys that wrote the movie The Matrix, with Keanu Reeves. Yeah, now they're like Lena and Lily, I think is their names. Why is this? What? Yeah, y'all have a good day.
Interesting to learn that the lawsuit against Candace Owens has been dropped. I only just heard about that. Very interesting indeed. I actually am intrigued to hear what Owens has to say about this. I'm sure I'll find her response somewhere on the internet. I'll have to check that out later.
Madame Blavatsky's Theosophy, there was an esoteric section, were all tied to the founders of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn that was set up in 1886, were directly tied to an operation which involves the reactivation of the reconstruction of Solomon's Temple that I see today as being something that's shaping many global policies that are very destructive. And I look at their writings and how they envision what was the temple in their minds. So I read the Testament of Solomon, which seemed to have come out of the 12th century occult networks tied to the same thing that spawned the Knights Templar, who had their home base under Solomon's Temple, that were doing weird rituals. And I do believe that there's some validity to this, to Baphomet as an androgynous deity underneath Solomon's Temple in Solomon's minds. But they had this view of reconstructing this thing as part of an eschatological ritual to end an age and bring in a new age.
Genghis Khan always kept the army to about 100,000. Each soldier had 5 horses, so 4 spare horses with small. So it's very important. They can move like 50 miles a day. This entire army, and they don't have to follow the road. For the military would follow the road, so you can go around, you can surround, you can retreat, and then attack from the side.
Yep, genius stuff.
The greatest military in history. It would defeat every single military, including Napoleon, with the muskets and everything.
You know what they didn't defeat?
The samurais.
Japan samurai, the Mongols would probably have the edge because of their crazy fast horseback tactics and huge numbers. The samurai were total badasses in close combat and defending their turf, but the Mongols were experts at hit and run and outsmarting enemies. When the Mongols actually tried invading Japan, it wasn't the samurai who stopped them, it was massive storms that wrecked their ships. So yeah, Mongols might win in a straight fight, but the samurai's home advantage and fighting spirit would make it one heck of a battle.
People always say the Romans built everything, but they didn't build this. They couldn't. They didn't even have the tech. The biggest crane the Romans ever built, it could lift about 6 tons. That's impressive for its time, but it's nowhere near enough to lift the blocks used inside the King's Chamber of the Great Pyramid. Those stones, some of them are 70 to 80 tons each. And here's the real kicker. They were transported from Aswan, which is over 500 miles away. Carved, moved, and lifted hundreds of feet in the air with a level of precision we still can't explain. But wait, it gets crazier. Even those massive King's Chamber stones, they're nothing compared to the Trilithon stones in Baalbek, Lebanon. Those bad boys are 15 times heavier. We're talking 1,200 tons, single-piece blocks. Like, what are we even doing? No ancient text explains how they did this. No pulleys, no ramps, no cranes. At some point, you just have to admit somebody knew something we don't.
There was a story that happened, I think, a year or so ago. These treasure hunters were looking for this vast amount of gold that went missing in the Civil War. It was like 5,000 pounds of gold or something. But the legend is that they buried it, but right after they buried it, the Confederate, they lost. So they were never able to go back and get the gold. So this one treasure hunting company or whatever, they had been looking for years, and they finally got a ding of for sure the gold is right here. And since it's technically U.S. gold called the FBI came out there, and then they basically blocked the treasure hunting company from getting in there. But they told them yeah, we're gonna find it and you'll get the tax. Yeah, they only dug at night. It had 3 or 4 semis pull up. Next day, FBI's gone, and they told the treasure hunting company, yeah, we didn't find anything.
Yeah, if I find treasure, I'm melting that. That's what I'm saying.
It says they found 9 tons of cargo.
Oh, so they say that they did found it?
Yeah, you can find it on Google. There's articles about it. That's crazy.
Yeah.
9.
So they didn't get anything.
Do that.
How livid would you be? Honestly, I think the best thing to do would be to not tell a single soul. Trust nobody, not even your grandma. Speaking of grandma, let's jump into the world of old now as we explore ancient civilizations or with conspiracies. You're just going to have to check these out.
Stonehenge, the famous monument, we basically have 3 types of rocks. We have a sandstone rock, which forms the outer large stones that are called the Sarsen stones, which we're going to look at in a second. Inside there, we have another type of rock. It's called a blue stone, and they have different mythologies. And then there's a third type of rock that forms the altar stone, and it's a third type of rock. And then once you have the mythology of rocks, you can determine the provenance of the rocks, which is where they came from. What part of the larger rock mass are they derivatives of? Mythology, you identify the rock type, and then the provenance, you can identify where is that rock type found in the earth, right? But the point is that Stonehenge is much more than just the circular stones that you see here. It also included major earth, in this case, ditch and a bank.
Here are some things in my old books that make me question the narrative. Accounts of entire regions ruled by giants and tribes with the heads of dogs. This sounds crazy and impossible until you realize legends of these beings exist across almost every ancient culture. So are these accounts fake or from a world before it was rewritten? Mentions of biblical events that we are told have not happened yet. The rampart of Gog and Magog, or as we would know it, the Great Wall of China, is said to have been built to keep in Gog and Magog. If you look into those end Bible prophecies, compare it to old books, and wonder, what time period are we really in? Descriptions of technology, architecture, and infrastructure that doesn't quite fit the timeline for a people that we are told only had hammer and chisel. It's almost as if technologies were lost or they don't want us to have them. Field reports of mythological creatures like dragons, descriptions of what they looked like, where they lived, how they were hunted, what the locals had to say about them, and what their organs were used for. So how are they describing creatures that we are told never existed? All I have to say is, if the news is fake, imagine how bad our history is. But I'm just a conspiracy theorist.
I do think there's a cycle almost of civilization and catastrophe or cataclysm.
I think it was Robert Schoch had the theory about the Sphinx with water erosion.
That's right.
And I think that kind of begins this conversation about Younger Dryas, right?
It begins it ties it back to an era that happens to coincide with the Younger Dryas, and also for that matter Atlantis and Solon's and Plato's story of the destruction of
All of a
Atlantis.
sudden, dates start lining
They
up.
really do. It's amazing.
So break this down. What is his theory?
So the great, we shouldn't forget the rest in peace John Anthony West. So the Sphinx, it sits down at the end of there's a causeway connected to the middle pyramid complex. It's in this big enclosure. The Sphinx is not like a built thing, like they carved down into the ground, and then they shaped it out of bedrock. But it's like this limestone outcropping that sticks up out of the ground. That was essentially its head. So they carved this big pit and they shaped this thing out of limestone. So there's been a study done. So Robert Schoch is a geologist and a professor of geology at Boston University, if I'm not wrong, went and looked at the erosion that is present on the enclosure walls. Now the Sphinx itself has been repaired and worked on for like the Old Kingdom. There's actually records of the Old Kingdom people fixing it when they supposedly built it, which is like, how does that make sense?
So it was really cool when it was pointed out on the Sphinx, and I'm like, well, where would the water come from that would create these?
95% of the Sahara was once lush grassland, so you got to wonder, could the Sphinx water damage be from a lost age, not just local floods? What if the Old Kingdom didn't build it but found it, inheriting a monument whose true creators vanished in the cataclysm we only glimpse in Plato's Atlantis tale? Maybe history's biggest secrets are buried on sand, but maybe in a shifting timeline.
High in the Indian Himalayas, there's a frozen lake with a horrifying secret. Rupkund. It's small, only about 40 meters across, but every summer, when the ice begins to melt, human bones rise to the surface. Hundreds of them. They were first documented by British officials in the 1940s, but locals had known for generations. The remains line the shore, some preserved beneath the ice, others scattered in the open. For decades, no one knew where they came from. But modern science made things even stranger. Carbon dating revealed two distinct groups. One died around the 9th century, the other nearly 1,000 years later. DNA analysis confirmed they weren't all local. Some had ancestry traced to the eastern Mediterranean, likely Greece or Crete, and the cause of death. Many had the same pattern, blunt trauma to the skull, with no signs of combat or weapons. Just clean, rounded fractures, as if something had fallen from above. The leading theory? A deadly hailstorm. Massive hailstones falling out of nowhere. But that explains only one group, not both. And not why people from two separate continents died at the same remote spot, centuries apart. Rupkund is real. The bones are real. And no one can explain why they're there.
The Euphrates River is drying up. And they said a lost castle was found. And also claimed that they've heard this sound.
If you need $750 or $1,500, up to $3,000, just go to Wayfair Money.
you've heard it before, and I'll say it again. I'm not religious myself, and I can even say in here that even I see this as a bad omen. As for the added sound effects of fallen angels, this clip is eerie enough without the artificial garbage added on. What's a bigger question for me is this nature? Is it prophecy foretold long ago, playing out right before us? Or perhaps it is a prophecy being forced to play out for a hidden agenda? That's a tricky one. We just can't tell it. But speaking of predictions coming true, let's cover some UAP news now in a segment which, well, brings light of recent allegedly predicted alien threat heading our way in November again. I do not believe this to be in any way true at all, but let's check out some more clips on the topic of UAP phenomena now. Take a look.
Now, I'm going to casually mention to you something that's very scary indeed. I'll tell you what the alien agenda is. It's going to sound very familiar. The alien agenda is the complete takeover of this planet, the killing off of 5, 6 to 7/8 of the world's population by the year 2029. U.S. military has known about this for 45 years. They've told no one. As far as I know, I'm the only person standing before a crowd talking about the alien agenda secretly.
I have talked to so many witnesses that can't testify. I'll give you an example. This upcoming hearing, it was announced it should be September. Let's see if they narrow that in. I have provided 3 first-hand witnesses, first-hand meaning being in close proximity to an operational UAP on a military base. I have provided those people. Some of the people I've provided, they're like, you can talk about X, but not about Y. And they're like, well, why? And they're like, because that is a national security issue. That's strategic advantage. So even though it's true, and there's this UFO program, and you know more about it, you can't testify to that in open congressional hearings. Right. I understand there's like this level of we need to protect our assets and our strategic advantage. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to put out the best information, the best evidence that uniquely comes to me and George. I'm trying to bring people into the public realm who can tell you their experience. Now, you're not going to be fully satisfied. I get that. I'm not fully satisfied.
Yes, but whose strategic advantage? Advantage over who exactly? That is the grey area.
Okay, so Robert Bigelow said to me, they're walking among us. I said, what do you mean, they're walking among us? I said, they're walking among us. They live right here.
This is one of the great questions in physics and philosophy, is where are the aliens? Maybe they're among us, I don't know.
You don't have to go anywhere.
You can find it here.
Yeah.
And some people have said maybe they're already here. Maybe the people we think are humans are actually avatars from an alien civilization. They cloned them so that they appear to be like us. Who knows?
Perhaps selected just because their resemblance to humans would make me trust them. Some people think, well, maybe they just whipped up some kind of a android or something to inspire my cooperation.
Mars was once home to flowing water, but how did it become the frozen desert we see today? NASA's Curiosity rover may have the answer. At Gale Crater, Curiosity discovered hidden carbonate minerals, formed when water and carbon dioxide interact. These minerals were buried deep and missed by orbiting satellites. Scientists now believe that over billions of years, brief warm periods melted snow, creating liquid water. That water formed carbonates, pulling CO2 from the atmosphere. Less CO2 meant less heat. Each cycle made the planet colder. Over time, this process dried out the atmosphere and ended Mars's ability to support water on the surface. Gale Crater turns out to be one of the last strongholds of liquid water, and the perfect place to see this process recorded in stone. Mars didn't lose its water in a single event. It lost it through slow, quiet chemistry beneath the surface.
(2022, 2023), Grush testifies, and then
It does feel like it's stalled a bit.
Honestly, I think it's accelerated. The momentum, as far as a public hearing, maybe per se, has slowed. But behind the scenes, there's been a ton of activity. You've got a change in leadership that is opening up an opportunity to get some more information to the Disclosure Task Force that was previously blocked, getting the right briefings that we need. David Grush is leading the way, helping us identify locations, sites, and the people to talk to. Some people we may have to subpoena to come forward. So he's got a categorization of friendly witnesses and then the hostile witnesses that we'll have to subpoena. And then there's like a middle category of people that would be friendly, but they're not going to come forward unless you subpoena them. I don't believe anybody's ever put forward this level of intensity on this in any previous Congress. Give us the moment where we want to get it right. We don't want to have a hearing just for the sake of having a hearing. We want to have it be a productive hearing.
We've stagnated a little bit in terms of any new meaningful information regarding the UAP disclosure. He mentions it may seem that way, but apparently there's a lot going on behind the scenes. But, like, I don't know, what happened to transparency? Why all the red tape? I feel like if there was any evidence of life beyond this world coming here to interfere or even just observe us, there wouldn't be a need for all this hush-hush, red tape or gag orders. To me, this just solidifies my theory that all of this, everything we see in the sky, is by human design, not anything otherworldly. I felt like we would have gotten to the bottom of it already if it was, cut and dry alien activity, because there would be no need whatsoever for national security or strategic advantage when there's a threat that looms over all of us, every nation, every country on this planet.
There's a place that we'll go to at some point in Colorado called Chimney Rock. It's two natural pillars, huge pillars, are 1,000 feet above the valley floor, and they're connected by a ridge. And you can go up that ridge, and where the ridge sort of flattens out before you get to these two huge pinnacles of rock, there's the remnants of an ancient structure there, an ancient kiva that would have been built by the Chaco. And this was one of the Chacoan outliers, part of the whole Chacoan civilization that was pretty much covered the 10,000 square miles of the San Juan Basin in New Mexico, whose hub was Chaco Canyon. And there was a whole series of outliers that were places of observation, high pinnacle points that would have been probably used as a communication system. But at Chimney Rock, remains of a kiva are there, and if you position yourself at the right location within that kiva, which is circular, you peer through those two pinnacle rocks, and it marks that position. You will see the moon rising in between those two rocks. And that's coming up later this year. June 29th, which is basically one day away from Asteroid Day, right? Asteroid Day, remember, Tunguska event in 1908, June 30th, right? This is the peak of the Taurid meteor shower. And we now designate, so the Taurid meteor shower lasts roughly from a week before that to a week after that. It's an older meteor stream, more diffuse, because the older meteor stream is, the more diffuse it'll become. Some of this younger meteor streams, the Earth will pass through the stream in a day or two. It takes Earth literally 2 to 3 weeks to pass through the entirety of the Taurid stream. It's more diffuse. The degree of diffusion is.
Yeah, the dude I just played had 3 consecutive.
That stream is probably old. My guess
what you call that?
Stream, from what I've seen, that it's probably between 25.
When you don't pick a play, he ain't pick a play in 3 times, so they had to disqualify him. So I won that one. But yeah, just what we talking about tariffs. This tariff starts today in 69 countries. They say the CIA turned cats and etc. into spies, so anything could be spying on you at any time. I said they extraterrestrials for making something like that. So I feel the CIA, I feel they extraterrestrials, entertainment purposes only. And then the NFL, they banned teams supplying smelling salts. So I think they should get like a coffee beans or like some strong tea. They could just smell that. That's safer for them, I guess. But and then when we're talking about the wildfires and the air quality, flooding, and Greg Abbott's still a bitch, and that Benjamin Netanyahu, he's still a pussy. So entertainment purposes only. y'all watch out for them people that's doing crazy stuff at Walmart, like trying to lure women in and trying to kidnap them, and people trying to pass out receipts. They say just decline your receipt. Just get an email if you got a receipt. If you really need it, try to get it emailed or take a picture of it. Or try to keep some gloves on you if you really need them or something. I don't know, but they say don't fuck around with the receipts right now. Entertainment purposes only. Oprah's still a bitch for having that access road closed. She opened it up late. Like I said, the other show, she owe all them people jobs or something, some kind of incentive. They said she owned 1,000 acres over there, so she should hire 1,000 people over there to work on some of the acres to make sure that road be open if they got another emergency. She wrong for that though. she on the hot seat, and just a lot of plane crashes. They saying flooding, orb still flying around. Entertainment purposes only. But I just beat the old boy, so I'm gonna play me another one. Play this back.
The fragmentation of a very, very large comet between 25 and 30,000 years ago. And most of it is cleared out by now, but this asteroid could have been part of that stream, see? Because it's June 29th. That's the peak. The peak is 29, 30, 31, right in there. Remember Tunguska? June 30th, see? The timing is suspicious of this.
Did you know some researchers think the moon was once Earth's outer layer? The torrid stream linked to the Tunguska blast might still harbor some giants, the likes of which we will never be privy to, because knowledge is power, and power for the people is a threat.
So if you think aliens aren't helping us out, you might want to think again. This whistleblower right here states that we have had over 300 nuclear button pushes over the past 70 years. That means that they are stopping all of the nuclear button pushes, all of the suitcase button pushes, all of those, and saving our asses. Now, I don't know who this dude is right here. It's a video that I just saw on TikTok, but I can tell you that if that's true, they've saved us 298 times, and they allowed 2 of them to go off, right, during World War II. So, what do you think? Do you think that this guy's telling the truth? He's stating that it's either humans from the future stopping us, or it's aliens from another planet that are stopping us from basically destroying ourselves. He says time's not linear. He says that time could be in a circle, time could be traveled, so that these guys could come back and basically save the planet. Obviously, we know from whistleblower testimony that nuclear explosions cause a lot of time distortions and a lot of space problems, a lot of space tears or something like that as well. So, what do you think? Put your comment in the comment section. I'll do what you have to say. I'll turn you over to please.
The planet Saturn is inhabited. It's inhabited by an army, and it seems to be that the army is building up to attack someone. I was told by a scientist at NASA that we are being prepared for a massive attack from whoever it is that's being built up on the planet Saturn. I think all of this is very interesting because when you begin to read that God created Adam, A-D-L, there was no Adam, there's Adam, a different kind of person. So therefore, we now can understand that God did not create us. There were many gods, and they created us. That's why it says in the Bible, in Genesis 2, now man has become as one of us, and therefore we are like the gods that created us. We have not been told that our government for the past 100 years has been talking to an extraterrestrial civilization in the area we call Cassiopeia. In Cassiopeia, we are receiving messages, but we don't know how to read them, but they're intelligent messages, which means and it implies that there is someone out there in Cassiopeia who is contacting us and trying to tell us something, but we're not understanding.
What the hell is going on this planet? So according to NASA, the aliens that's supposedly coming in November have a strong resemblance to us. The aggressive aliens that's on their way to Earth that's supposed to get here in November resemble African American people. and they're saying they're around 7 feet tall. And if that's the case, we already know why they're aggressive. We already know what they're coming back here for. Earlier this summer, the Pentagon said that the Anunnaki will be back here in the next 2 years. And now, NASA, of course, again, NASA is saying that the aliens that are coming here this November look like African Americans. You do the math. The truth of the matter is, the truth has been hidden for way too long about what this planet is, where this planet came from, who we are as a people. And apparently, those interstellar beings that's coming here are coming here for a reason. And apparently, someone's spoken to them. Someone is keeping contact with them. Someone knows their true purpose. Because you can't randomly just say that they're aggressive and they're coming here aggressively if you haven't spoken to them or if they're not here already. Welcome to 2025. I want to see what's next. I'm out.
NASA has not said that aliens are arriving on Earth in November 2025. This idea seems to just be perpetuated from the recent interstellar object called 3I Atlas, which will pass through our solar system around that time. Some headlines and scientists like Avi Loeb have theorized it could be alien tech, but there's no proof at all, and NASA hasn't backed any of those claims. Most experts say it's just a comet, and the alien arrival talk is more hype than fact, or maybe Project Bluebeam. Who knows?
I'm not saying that we've never been to space, and I'm not saying that we've never been to the moon. But I've got a question that I hope you can answer. Why is it that when we look into space, we only see the same stars? I mean, every night, no matter what night, it could be Christmas, it could be your birthday, but anytime we look into space, we see the same stars. Now you see, the problem is this: they tell us that we're spinning through the air at 1,000,000 miles per hour. We should be traveling past different planets, different stars, different constellations. Even the moon is in the same place. Every day, every month, every year. The same thing. So maybe I don't understand science, or maybe I'm just a critical thinker. But when I say something don't make sense, I mean something don't make sense.
Lied to us. You never been to the moon, even astronauts told you that. But this dude's about to break down. The moon can actually be, and how it travels throughout our universe. You can debunk this. Leave your comments. This is for educational purposes only. Share this video with someone you love, care, and respect. Think he's on something?
Moon actually works and how the phases actually work. Now, if you paid attention to our ancestors, they told us that there's waters above us. It's as above, so below. There's also a firmament above us. The Bible mentioned this, the Quran mentioned it, many religious texts, all of our ancient cultures, and this is why we see the moon. In all of its different phases, we're spinning and orbiting the sun and whirling through space at millions of miles per hour, while we always see consistent, infinite phases of the moon, and only one side of the moon. Doesn't make any sense. People talk about how the moon is round, but you don't know that. You actually don't know that. That's the thing. Out of all these objects here, there's only one round one. Anything round that you look at and you put on the ceiling, it looks like, a disc. And I'll leave you with this. I just think that it's just a coincidence that the dude who invented NASA, Wernher von Braun, has a Bible quote on his tombstone. Psalms 19:1. The heavens declare the glory of God, and the firmament show us his handiwork. This literally contradicts space. This is what all of our ancestors told us right here. The moon, the sun, the same size, the same distance away from the earth, in the firmament above. The stars on the firmament. Wake up, you've been lied to about everything.
Latest update from Congress that was just released through Fox News is that they're saying Iran launched a mothership. Exact words that they use. Launched a mothership that's sitting over the Atlantic Ocean off our coast and releasing all of these drones.
Iran launched a mothership probably about a month ago that contains these drones. That mothership is off, I'm going to tell you the deal. It's off the east coast of the United States of America. They've launched drones into everything that we can see or hear. And again, these are from my sources. I don't say this lightly.
So if you see what may or may not look like a alien mothership out over the ocean, it's Iran. Which is actually more concerning if that is indeed true. That Iran would have a mothership of drones that for some reason, with everything that we have, in the military that we have, we can't do anything about it? Come on. Okay, let me.
This claim that Iran sent mothership to launch drones on the US East Coast is not true. The claim started with the US congressman who later walked it back. The Pentagon confirmed there's no Iranian mothership in US waters. Investigations by the FBI found the foreign threat, just misidentified objects or regular drones, another classic case of misinformation, I guess. This is why we can't be trusted on the internet. But on that note, let's dive into some clips covering the paranormal, the supernatural, and some may even say the creepy. Take a look at these next clips.
He was out fishing near the water when he sees the fish from his nightmares. A man named Landon was out fishing by a dock when he saw lurking below him the sinister-looking face staring at him as it smiled. Amanda gets a closer look, and we can see that this creepy-looking smile is actually just a fish. Many copy-pasted comments say it's a mason fish, which by Google's definition is a fish found in the Mason Lake. But aside memes, I have no idea what they are. This is an arapaima. Records show it's only drowned a couple people back in Malaysia. But yeah, God forbid a man have hobbies. Least he could do is inhale your fingers like in this picture.
Mermaids are all the talk right now. We have another phenomenal video coming out of Mexico. This time it comes from an individual who was walking along the beach at night when they started hearing these beautiful musical notes coming from the water. Now they said that they think maybe it's the song of the mermaid. We really don't know. It may be a pod of whales or some quivering life. But the question you should ask, if it is whales, do they really come in that close to the beach? And do you hear them that close? We know they have their own songs, but that's usually heard from the deep and under the water. This is clearly a bug. So take a look at it. Listen, tell me what you think.
I think if there were such thing as mermaids, they would probably be smarter than us and stay as far away as possible from humans as they possibly can. Because, you know, anything with at least a little bit of intelligence would try and keep as far away from us as possible. That makes the most sense to me. And if you need convincing any further as to why I made that claim, well, the next video will back me up.
So I bet you £1 million by the end of this video, you'll want nothing more than to unalive this man. This is by far the most disturbing film in the world, but no one's seen it and you don't even want to know what it was about. So this guy right here is the worst criminal I've probably ever heard about. Peter Scully, an Australian man who was arrested in 2015. Now, what this vile man did with a group of people was start a traffic ring of doing some pretty horrendous things. It just kept getting worse and worse. I can't mention the things, but with his accomplices, it got to the next level. Peter and 2 of his accomplices decided to create this movie to monetize. And well, what happened in it? It is believed that he took 3 people, a 18-month-old baby and 2 toddlers, and subjected them to the R word along with every single thing you can possibly imagine. It is believed that Peter was then selling this tape of Daisy, who was the baby, on the dark on a site where people were paying upwards of $10,000 or $20,000 per view on this video. And there is documentation that people did genuinely pay for it. Like, what? Now, the tape is a little bit of an urban legend where some people say it doesn't exist or people don't believe it. But there is a lot of chats and blogs out there of people saying, no, they did genuinely have it, or they managed to view it because they paid for it. And a lot of the stories online of what people say happened in it do add up, like exactly match what the other person said, which leads me to believe that maybe it did exist. But if this genuinely did and people were paying to watch this, it contained the most horrendous things you can imagine. Can't talk much about it, but R word, throwing, cooking, like, the list goes on. And this man had just taken those people and would do it to multiple other people as well. Like, there is endless of these stories. And there was just old men and people online who were paying him tens of thousands to view this video of the most horrendous thing you can ever imagine. Just absolutely blows my mind. And this guy is just still alive, tossing around in a jail.
Now you know why I firmly believe that we are the worst beings to roam the planet. And no, I will not apologize for being so cynical.
Watch out, you better not die, you better not crash, I'm telling you what. But you told your wife your word.
Listen, preacher. The man just squatted down. You see your camera on.
With him explaining the background, which is so important, and I'm firmly convinced that he has built Sasquatch.
Bigfoot, are they really out there or just a fun legend for people who love a good mystery. You'll find stories all over the internet, along with those unbelievably bad, obviously staged encounter videos that are supposed to be proof these creatures exist. Personally, I don't buy into it. I really want to believe that kind of thing is a real deal. I just don't think something that massive could rip our apart without leaving a single trace behind. And let's be real, why are they always so shy? Supposedly 9 to 10 feet tall, built like a tank, yet they're out here avoiding humans like it owes us rent. Bears don't run and hide from us like that, so why would a Bigfoot? It just doesn't add up. Sorry. But from Bigfoot to recent encounters with UAPs, yes, we have some more footage captured over the last few days that may yet convince me that UAPs are not actually black budget ops and shady government projects. Take a look.
What is that ring? That's crazy. I can't tell what that is.
This video is going absolutely viral right now, apparently of a UFO spherical craft seen on top of a mountain peak in Mexico, right? As you can see here, giant silver-type object floating between the clouds, and everyone is absolutely freaking out about it. Now, I had to question this a little bit, and I had to do a little bit of research here because we've got 2 twin peaks, and let me just go onto Google Maps for you. Now, digging around online and finding the site-specific location, which is Pico de Orizaba, sorry Mexicans if I pronounced that wrong, right? If we zoom into this secondary mountain peak here, right, or volcano, shall we say, there's a observatory seen up on the very peak of this area, right? So on the video itself, if you look, you can see 2 twin peaks. You've got the giant volcano in the background, and then you have this secondary peak here, which is here. Now, if we look around here, there's so many different roads that you can take to kind of drive around and observe this strange anomaly that is seen on top of this peak, right? Now, let's zoom in a little bit into the distance so you can see this dish up on the mountain, right? Now, just use your imagination a little bit, okay? If there's clouds surrounding this peak, kind of keeping it a bit secret, shall we say, and just seeing this kind of silver-shaped observatory poking through the clouds, it would look very weird. And no matter where you place this is a telescope that can, swivel and change direction here. And if we kind of put the other telescopes above it, it looks kind of similar, and you can kind of see the front of the telescope kind of poking out here versus what you can see on the image here. So, I don't know, mate. What do you guys think? You let me know down below, but I think this one is an observatory.
Did you know that Pico de Orizaba's sisters, Peak Sierra Negra, hosts the large millimeter telescope, peering very deep into the cosmos? Now, could this UFO be a reflection, a mirage, or maybe something far stranger than a terrestrial observatory? Maybe the clouds aren't hiding, but actually revealing something else entirely, a celestial game of hide and seek, perchance?
Immediate Matt Rife, he bought the Annabelle doll. Yeah, the real Annabelle doll. The haunted, evil, possessed doll from those Conjuring movies. Yeah, he bought it, including the museum that it was housed in. And that museum that the paranormal investigators, the Warrens, owned, has a lot more haunted, evil, demonic stuff in it. And Matt Rife, he bought it all, baby. He bought it all. Now, I don't know about you, but me personally, I don't really want to add any evil, possessed dolls to my collection. And even though the Conjuring series are movies, it's based on this evil, possessed doll. that the Warrens had locked in a cabinet, a glass cabinet, for decades before Matt Wright bought it. Now, I'm not saying he's going to take it out of the cabinet or play with the thing, but this could be dangerous, like possessed items, because you know there's more than just the doll. In the hands of some guy, even though it's the Matt Wright, who might just want to play with them or experiment, or who knows. Yeah, this is freaking me out a little bit. Hey, Bushkies, I just wanted to share that with you. Shabadoo.
Famous person buying a supposedly possessed doll. That's nothing but good business, if you ask me. But on the topic of possession, we actually have more related clips to cover coming up next. And towards the end of the compilation, we have a wild story of an alleged demonic possession that might actually make you rethink what you think you know about this phenomenon. But that's coming up later. For now, we have some more clips.
Yeah, that's about it for the day, man. The tariffs, the CIA, got spies going around, cats, they putting them as animals or whatever. The NFL banned teams supplying smelling salts. So I said they should have like some coffee beans or some strong tea. You know what I'm saying? Some strong tea. That might do it. You know what I'm saying? Niggas smell some tea. They're around there smelling some, they said that stuff that they were smelling was poisonous or whatever. So yeah, man. Y'all get back with me in the comment section what y'all think they should be smelling to wake them up. The NFL pros or just anything I said today, just put it in the comment section. Y'all get with me, man. Stand Position Radio. I'm out.